All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We want to thank everybody for coming today. We want to thank our dignitaries, our mayors here. Thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for being here. That's the main thing. And so our city manager, our council members, thank you so much for being here on this day, because this is a big day for our department. And before we get started, we're going to recognize an employee. We'll have Wayne Pruitt come down.
So I got called down here today to talk about a person who I've known for many, many years. And Sarah Cox is who I'm talking about. She started in 2001. By that time, I was already an old guy on the department. And I'm still an old guy. I'm older now. She started out as an officer. She became a field training officer. She worked in criminal investigations, and she was also a voice stress analysis operator. In 2015, she worked her way up to become a police sergeant and worked in the patrol division. In 2016, Sergeant Cox became the department's training sergeant and served in that assignment until 2021. And in this assignment, she ran the FTO program, revamped the onboarding program for new officers, built the standards and requirements of the new Salina Regional Training Center. And then she returned back to the patrol division as a supervisor. In February, Sergeant Cox decided she wanted to come work for the best. So she retired and she came down to Salina Dispatch. And there she brings her 2 decades worth of experience to the comm center, which helps bridge the gap between the center and sworn personnel. People say she took a step down. She did not take a step down to come down to dispatch. The only reason that's a step down is because you got to go downstairs to be there. It's a very, very difficult position. She thought she was going to leave the stress of supervising the streets and being responsible for the people out on the street, responsible for the training and everything that she did with that training center. No, she took on more responsibilities, because now she's responsible not only for every patrolman out there, every deputy, every fireman, everybody out there in public safety, she's responsible for. She makes that decision on who's gonna go, and she has to ensure that the right people go every time. There is no margin of error in that position. And I applaud her for her dedication for all the years that she has been with us, and she has taken a huge undertaking on with this new position, and I wish her well. If anything's wrong here, Sarah, I didn't do this. If it's perfect, then yes, I'm responsible for this.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Chief?
We also have a badge we want to present Sarah with to commemorate her time as an officer here, and we thank you for all you've done. And even as a dispatcher, we needed someone to fill in for our training and to help train some new supervision there, and she was willing to step in and do that. And so we really thank her for just kind of being the utility player for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please.
Wow, thank you. And thank you for your kind words there, boss. What a journey my career has been. Everyone's professional journey is different. For me, it began when I was in college. I was interested in law school and had the opportunity to become an intern for a private law firm in Washington, D.C., where I worked as an investigator. At that time, I thought I would return from D.C. and pursue a law degree, but was eager to start a career in law enforcement rather than continuing schooling. I had applied at several places in the D.C. area, but September 11th happened, causing the airports to shut down. At that time, I was unable to fly to any of my interviews, and so my hunt for a job began. I applied at the FBI office in Kansas City, Missouri, as I'd always been interested in law enforcement and investigation. I was told that because I didn't have an accounting degree, I didn't speak a foreign language, and I had no law enforcement experience, that my best bet in getting my foot in the door was to seek out law enforcement experience. The first and only law enforcement agency I applied at was the Salina Police Department, as it was centrally located and just a few short hours away from my family. I tested on September 15th, 2001, and was hired the following month. I had intended to stay at the department for 3 to 5 years before moving on to maybe the KBI or FBI. But as many of you know, I met my husband, Bill. And for those of you who don't know, Bill also worked as a sworn law enforcement officer for the Salina Police Department and retired in August 2022 after 33 years of experience and service. Between the two of us, we have a combined total of 55 years of service at this agency. I speak for both of us when I say we have enjoyed our careers here, both achieving leadership roles within the department. He as captain, and me as the first female sergeant in almost 40 years, the second one ever in the history of the department. I've enjoyed working alongside many of you, and I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to serve this community. I want to thank my colleagues, and especially Chief Wise, for acknowledging my years as a sworn law enforcement officer at this agency. Special thanks to my family and my amazing and supportive husband for always being there. I accept this plaque and want to also acknowledge those who have come and gone before me, who also worked for this agency for over 20 years. I look forward to continuing to serve in my new position as 911 dispatcher for Salina and Saline County, hopefully bringing insight and knowledge to the position after having served on the front lines for so many years. To those of you being promoted here today, I want to say congratulations, and please continue to make me and your community proud. Thank you.
You know, as we get ready to begin these promotions, one of the things that a good mentor of mine told me whenever I was beginning my law enforcement career, he told me, you know, remember the good stuff, but equally as important, remember the bad stuff you see, and don't become the bad stuff. And so as I got into leadership or whatever I did, I tried to really do that. And so some of the things that I saw that I feel like, oh, that needs to be changed or whatever, I try to put that into my leadership style. And what I'm about to read off, it's the same thing that I see in these people getting promoted. You know, one of the things is, you know, build trust with your employees, and it's a two-way street. You know, you've got to show, I mean, one of the things is we trust them to have a gun and a badge, and so we have to show our people that we trust them, you know, but we also have to earn their trust. And I think everybody that's getting promoted today has more than shown that. We have to care for them, you know. Employees of ours, they're not just stepping stones for us to keep our career, to build our career. And everybody here, I can truly say they care about the people that work underneath them. You know, because one of the things I've always said is some of the best supervision no one sees, because it's always behind closed doors. You know, they're advocating for their officers, and I have seen that and heard that about each and every one of these people. And also, you know, fair treatment. Just, you know, you're treating people fair, and I see that, and I've seen nothing but that from all of these people getting promoted. And also, you know, do the right thing for the right reasons. I've seen that. And the one thing that was neat about this promotion is I came in here, been here almost a year, didn't know any of them. And so I just kind of sat for a year and watched them work. I know, you know, I can get labeled as, boy, he's awful quiet. Well, you know, I figure if I keep my mouth shut, I can watch a lot more. And so I've done that, and I've watched each and every one of you. And so all these promotions, one of the things too is we had peers of theirs setting in on their promotion processes and on their interviews. I think it was a little shocking for some. I think it was Kyle walked in and he had some of his officers there, and unless it was a bad story, but they said he walked in, he goes, am I in the right place, you know? And so, but I think it gives, you know, builds that trust with our officers and also gives them a say. And also, you know, there's no BS factor. Whenever you can't go in there and lie in front of a bunch of people that, you know, work for you. And so I think that made it unique. But each and everybody here, this year I've been here, I've seen great things. I've been privileged over, you know, 27 years being in law enforcement. I've seen a lot of great policing. I've seen a lot of bad policing. But I can say these people are some of the best police officers I've worked with, hands down, and I'm glad that, they're part of our team. And just like all agencies, departments go through rough times and everything. But I think some of the rough times that the department has been through, this has been the nucleus that has kept it together, Amongst others, we've got a lot of good officers, but I think a lot of thanks goes to all these people getting promoted here. And so, like I said, I'm honored to work with them. They're sharp, and maybe it's just me not being a chief before. It's amazing, you can throw out an idea, and then next thing you know, it's done. Where they run with it and they make it their own, and so that just really, really impresses me about all of them. There's everybody is self-motivated, and I think I got to back up this slide. So one of the first slides here, it says combined, 164 years of law enforcement. That's impressive, And I think too, some people, you probably saw that number and you thought, well, that's just Miller's years of service. No, that's combined, So, but the first person we're going to promote is Feldman. He, one of the things, he's in a uniform today. I never see him in a uniform. And if you ever look in the dictionary, snappy dresser, that's this guy, I mean, he's got the most exotic boots and just footwear that you'll ever see. But, seriously, I've been nothing but impressed with him. He, as far as his knowledge of investigations is top notch. He is a great go-to. And so he's done a little bit of everything. He's graduated from Kansas State. If that's good for you, yay. If not, sorry. He is a patrol officer, master patrol officer. He is a detective. He has worked on a drug task force. He's promoted to sergeant in 2014, served as a detective sergeant, patrol sergeant, and then is promoted to lieutenant in 2019, where he served in internal affairs and recruiting and hiring. And that internal affairs can wear on you. You do enough investigations, and everybody's scared of you because, when Jim walks in, they're like, oh my gosh, he's about to interview me about something. So that can wear and kind of isolate you some. But luckily, he's got the personality everybody likes. The other day he came in to me and he's like, hey, a lady came in, or a gentleman came in wanting to make a complaint. And he got mad at me, and I was like, how do you get mad at you, And because he just has that easygoing personality that kind of puts everybody, kind of relaxes everybody. So for that, Captain Feldman, will you come up? Here's your certificate acknowledging that, and also we'll have. So the tradition we do is we have a person of their selection come and pin their actual badge on. Next is Captain Rachel Larson. She started her career in Lee Summit, Missouri in 2007. She moved to Kansas, where she was a sheriff's deputy for Salina County from 2009 to 2011. She was hired here in 2011. During her time here, she served as patrol officer, FTO, DTF, detective. She was a SWAT operator, SWAT assistant team leader, virtual instructor, CVSA operator, patrol sergeant, and training center sergeant. She's going to be over our professional standards division, which is doing IA and stuff, so she'll be the one everybody's feared, and everything. One of the things I can say, law enforcement's a tough career, but what I've witnessed, it can be even tougher for a female. And so for someone to raise to this rank, it says a lot about who you are as an officer and just the hard work and work ethic. So why don't you come on down and we'll present you. You're gonna bring your husband down. For obvious reasons, she's not in a uniform today. So. Now, if I ever get worked up and I need somebody to calm me down, it's this guy, you know, Captain Miller. He's kind of like the peace. He's the zen in the office, you know. I always like to give him a hard time, but I truly respect what he does. You know, he works hard, and he's very detail oriented to make sure, you know, we're doing everything we're supposed to, and he is the perfect fit for our patrol division. So he served as a patrol officer. He started here in 1992. I mean, wow, man! I was in high school, and I just, you know, so that's impressive. He's been, you know, a traffic officer, field training officer, master patrol officer. He's been sergeant patrol, traffic/canine sergeant, drug task force, evidence sergeant, patrol lieutenant, crash reconstructionist, drug recognition expert, and he started his law enforcement career in Rice County Sheriff's Department as a reserve deputy, where he was there 2 years prior to coming here. He's over our patrol division, which he's got a lot of work. He's got a little bit of every, you know, he checks all the use of forces and everything. He got the most people, but he does an exceptional job. And, you know, there for a while before we had all of our promotions, you know, he was doing the job of, you know, a captain and a lieutenant. And so I really appreciate him. And like I said, I give him a hard time because, you know, he's got a different personality than I do, you know. But, you know, here in a little bit, I'll bring you his brother, the yin to his yang, and he's a little different. And so, but yeah, come on up. We'll go ahead and recognize you. Next one is Captain David Villanueva. If you ever need an English lesson, this is your guy. You know, this guy has a spectacular vocabulary, you know, and in writing, he's amazing, you know, and I always give him a hard time, you know, as far as like that. I'm like, because every now and then I may look up a few words he throws out in conversation to go, I think I know what that means, but no. So Dave, you know, he's been in law enforcement since '95. He served as a patrol officer here, field training officer. He's a detective sergeant, a patrol lieutenant. He's worked as a hostage negotiator. He's an instructor for de-escalation, R1 instructor. He previously served at Oxnard Police Department in California. He retired after serving in patrol, traffic investigations, and police academy and standards. Prior to that, he was in the military for 15 years, and he's over our support division. He's got a unique set of skills where in the attention to detail, where he is a great fit where he's at. And like everybody else, I'm very thankful that he's on my team. Come on, Dave. next one is Lieutenant Tim Brown. You know, he is, I've never seen someone more optimistic and about just everything going on, super positive. The day I come in and he says to hell with this or whatever, then I know that's something bad has happened, you know, because he is just always, you know, and when I first got here, it was funny. I went to my first graduation at KLATC, and I told my wife, and she goes, "Did you go with Sergeant Brown?" And I was like, "How do you know Sergeant Brown?" She was like, "He's all over the Facebook thing." She goes, "So I just seen it," you know. And kind of a funny story too. When I was brand new, we had a function where we needed to dress up, and so Tim was kind of over getting badges, uniform. So they didn't have a hat badge for me that had the rank on, had a different rank, and so Tim broke up, and I think Forrester, they broke the rank off, and so they handed it to me, and it was just half of a hat badge and stuff. And so, just the good sport he is, he came to me after the function where I was wearing this, and he was like, "Hey, sorry about didn't have you a hat badge. I'll work on getting you a Chiefs one ordered." And joking around, I said, "Hey, while you're at it, get yourself an officer one." And he goes, "Yes, sir, I'll do that." You know, and it just didn't miss a beat, didn't bat an eye. But that's Tim, you know. And so he's been here since 2005. During his tenure, he served as patrol officer, school resource officer. He's been a criminal investigator. He's on the drug task force, municipal court officer, SWAT operator, hostage negotiator, patrol sergeant, and training unit supervisor. And like I said, he is once again, you know, he is when people look up to him, his people look up to him, and he motivates people. And so I'm glad to have him on our team. Tim, come forward. Lieutenant Hoagland, I've labeled him as the funniest guy at the PD. Scott's kind of a quiet guy. You put him and I in a room, there's not a lot of talking going on. You know? So, what I've really appreciated about Scott is, you know, there's a couple of kind of, I'd say, deep conversations we had pretty early on, you know, and stuff. I think I asked him some questions. At first, I think he wasn't uncomfortable, or he was uncomfortable going, "Wow, I didn't think he was going to ask me that in day two." But I appreciate his honesty, and that really spoke a lot to me. You know, he's been in law enforcement since '92. He's been here since he's been here. He's been a patrol officer, school resource officer, field training officer, detective, SWAT operation team leader, crisis negotiator, and he spent the last 9 years as a patrol sergeant. He previously served in Atchison, Kansas, as a patrol officer for 3 years. He's that good balance of, you know, I mean, and one of the things that really impressed me is he's getting one of our wellness initiatives for officers up and running, and he's put a lot of thought and detail, but I think just that initiative shows how much he cares about the people he works with. And so I really appreciate that, and I appreciate everything you do for us. So let's come on. Lieutenant Kyle Tonages. One of the things that I can say about Kyle is he is a consummate professional. You know, he is always, I know he's kind of smiling, going, man, what's he going to say about me? He's going to make fun of me. It's coming. But, you know, everything he does is top notch. One time we had the FBI reach out to us, and they were like, hey, we need some information on this guy. Tell us what all you know about him. And so we're maybe looking at this deal. Well, Kyle did all the legwork, and he basically wrote up like a packet, like a search warrant type packet. And we gave it to him, and it was so impressive that the FBI goes, we're going to start using that as our go-by for like warrants and stuff like that. And so now to the funny part. So, you know, we just recently helped out with, you know, the 99 kgs toy drive. And so I went by there and I was talking to the radio DJs, and they're like, man, we appreciate your officers coming by and stuff. And they're like, man, Kyle Tonages was by here the other day. Man, he's sharp. I said, yeah, he's a sharp looking guy. And one of their on-air personalities goes, he is just a pretty man. You know? As well as him being a pretty man, you know, he's been here for 16 years. He's worked patrol. He's been a field training officer, SWAT officer. He's canine officer. Promoted sergeant in 2017, where he's supervised patrol, detective sergeant, and also, you know, he's now our head of our SWAT team, and he's over our bicycle unit. He's a firearms instructor, and he is just a great representative of us. Everywhere he goes, people are always super impressed. And once again, I'm glad to have you on our team, Kyle. So please come forward. Once again, we want to thank you all for coming out, the families. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it because we couldn't do it without all of y'all. You know, the support that you've given to all of them throughout their career has gotten them to where they are. Because I know without my wife, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so, and we thank you for the support of the city and all the former officers that are here. It says a lot. But most of all, we thank you. Thank you for being here. But thank you so much. We got cake and punch out there, and just congratulate everybody. Thank you.